welcome to Jamaica post-Hurricane Melissa, the people, the places, the progress. I'm Donald Oliver. This week on the program, Border is back in business. We take you to the southern coastline to tell the story of how the rehab began and how it is going. Plus, is business good everywhere? We hear directly from vendors in the West as they prepare for the Christmas season. Also, a candid one-on-one conversation with Jason Russell, president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce. You've never heard him like this before. And in this week's edition of Through Their Eyes, we meet a man who was losing everything while still having to show up for everyone. Over the last few weeks, I've traveled across Jamaica more than ever before. I've seen a wide cross-section of people and places, many for the first time. One of those places was Border, a stretch of seafood shops located right on the boundary of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, hence the name. Hurricane Melissa wiped it out. But through early private sector initiative led by dancehall artist Sean Paul and world-renowned chef Brian Lumley, and later support from the government of Jamaica, Border is now fighting to rise higher than ever before. Here's that story. The day after Hurricane Melissa crossed to the southern end of the island and sliced Jamaica in two, we went as far west as possible. It became a 2-day journey, blocked roads, broken pathways, and long detours slowing our progress. This wasn't a familiar route for me. I'd only traveled this far west along the southern coast a handful of times. So when we arrived in Border, I had no idea it was Border. And for those au fait with the location on the periphery of the parishes of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, this place was unrecognizable. A self-sustaining community of fisherfolk and vendors, a lively space that welcomed both tourists and locals, was gone. In the early days after Hurricane Melissa, relief did arrive, but world-renowned chef Brian Lumley understood that for communities like Border, immediate rebuilding was not optional, it was essential for survival.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Now I came out here 3 days ago, I don't even remember, 4 days ago.
Every day.
Right? Every day. Yeah. But the first day I came, and I said to her, the list you want to give me, remember me telling you, when you start giving me a bunch of lists, I'm telling you, say, listen, me and I'm an MP, I'm going to do what I can do. Border have been devastated, right? But what really struck me when I visited my grandma on Sunday in Darliston, we were coming back and I saw people, like there's a little activity. Fish start fry, coal pot start lit, hammers start going in board with whatever scraps you can find.
We didn't know we could start business as yet, but you know, we are resilient, we are Jamaican, so we push forward and we start.
And I thought to myself, why not help them? Like once you help them, the community can benefit because you can't get anything because everywhere has been destroyed. And these people have shacks. It's not like they have proper restaurants and they're already starting to cook. Help them.
And Brian was not alone in that effort.
Sean Paul answered the call and he's like, bro, I want to help. And what a lot of people don't know about Sean is that he studied hospitality tourism management. So and he's a big foodie.
Yes, international dancehall artist Sean Paul was among the first on the scene, providing the material needed to begin rebuilding.
You know, coming out here, seeing the destruction, the desolation, seeing that nobody had anywhere to go to buy anything. You know what I mean? Sometimes you offer people money and I'm saying, but there's nothing to buy. So I want to start back up a kind of economy this side.
Big thank you to Sean Paul. I've been watching him years doing donation to other people, other countries, and I didn't know he would be here to helping us now.
We brought solar lights for them, and we bring some zinc and plyboard and things to build back. You know what I mean? It's important because I went to UTech, I'm a chef, or I try to be, and then Brian is a chef I look up to. And he's saying from his personal eye view is like, right here, so I need the help, let's do that. and get this whole area kind of connected back together with a hub. So we're just doing that first.
I saw one guy, you can see him look defeated, and he's just hammering away. Like you can see him spirit gone, but him just hammering away. And now to see how this gift has like boost their morale, Sean himself showing up, and you see them like so happy. Yeah. I really feel like the storm reset things, and we can reunite and continue.
Weeks later, Border would receive even more assistance, this time from the government of Jamaica.
Thanks to the minister. He has done a very good job. Also the workers them that work with him, I really appreciate what they have done. So you just take it one day at a time to see what's coming up next.
But those earliest acts of support, the first hands extended in the immediate aftermath of this once-in-a-century storm, have not been forgotten by the people who needed them most.
It was good for me to start over with Brian and Sean Paul, who has given us things as in food and water and packages and stuff to build stores like zinc and board and nail, even the very hammer he gave unto us.
Thanks to Sean Paul, he has done a great job. He'll make a start for us. I really appreciate it.
Yes, the government came in after Sean Paul and Brian decided to fix me up. They came in after, and then they are here up until now. But thanks be to Brian and to Sean Paul, who have started us.
And now the Christmas holiday, which signifies hope, brings with it its own story of optimism and faith. From above, Border begins to look like itself again, even as construction continues. Boats returning to water, smoke rising from cook fires, hands returning to work they have known for generations, and cars lining up for the latest serving of fish, lobster, shrimp, and bami. This fishing village has never waited on perfect conditions. It has always lived by the tide, the weather, and the will of its people. It is encouraging to see this community slowly picking up the pieces. We now turn our attention west to Falmouth and Montego Bay, where vendors are preparing for the Christmas rush. Well, they are hoping there is a rush. In Montego Bay, Grand Market has been extended this year and will run from December 15 through to December 31. Vendors are required to register and pay a fee to participate. Some vendors told us that under normal circumstances, the fee is fair, but following Hurricane Melissa, this year has been particularly difficult. Here's what they had to say.
I don't think they should charge us 15,000. You understand? Because there's a lot of things lost and we don't make it back as yet. You understand? I think they could go a little lower. I hear them said 5,000 and 15,000. I hope I can pay the 5, but I can go on the 15.
We don't have 15,000 repair. So tell Andrew we do something good for we.
What's
money and 4 people I don't have it.
What's the $15,000 for?
For sell on the street I don't have it, sir.
But right now Christmas look rough on fish side, you know. Nothing on one. I don't see it yet. I look rough and tough on way.
So you're not getting any sales?
No, right now I'm not getting no sale, you know. No sale I not get. See me look at something from mommy down for broke my ducks.
The sale is very, very bad today. And I wait then I wake me up, you know. Because I sleep, me there, they sleep. I wait there after they wake me up. Because nobody now to come by. You know, see Melissa mash up the whole situation. And the worst Christmas from me born, I'm nearly 100-year-old. And the worst Christmas this. Because nobody now have no money to buy. See them there? We can't buy none because no money the people them now buy them. Who used to buy 3, 4, 5 sets from me, none of them not come here.
They don't have no money, no money. Money is all the problem, money.
The people them house blow down. The people them not money gone. Them cow gone, them goat gone, so I don't know where they go on. I don't know what's going on. Because it's like they don't have no money to buy because they have to think about build house. You know? And they have 3, 4 people for mine and, you know, Christmas worse Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Melissa do it. You understand? But Melissa do a lot of things there. That's young girl. Yeah.
It's not gonna pick up. I don't think so. There's no money. People, even if we have money, remember people houses down and there's no help. We need help.
Well, definitely still, you know, it's slow. just a start pick up. But you not pick up to that. Normally we touch them time, yeah. Hotel workers them come support me for them party, but none of this year. So it's a 2-1 chance. It's slow, bad. But therefore, man, I'm going to sell 2 pair of shoes alone. I'm not selling nothing more.
Well, this year kind of rough since it started, bro. Rough. Sometimes sweet, sometimes sour. So you have to just learn to satisfy.
Jason Russell is the president of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce. He's also the owner of Pier 1, long described as Montego Bay's most pulsating open-air restaurant, bar and entertainment center, which was destroyed by Hurricane Melissa. I sat down with him to discuss the future of the business sector in Montego Bay and the challenges of recovery and what comes next for the city. Mr. Russell, thanks for joining us for this interview. I want to ask about how you've dealt with Hurricane Melissa in regards to your business here at Pier 1. What happened with it?
We got physical damage, nothing that we're not used to. Of course, we're on the waterfront here in Montego Bay, and almost every time a breeze blows, we get some kind of hurt. So we're used to it, our team is used to it. I tell people all the time, get your staff war ready, as if they're soldiers. You know, they look forward to the battle. So as usual, the day after we started to see staff coming back to work, and that's the core. Without the staff, it don't matter if you got hurt or not. The staff started to come back, we started to clean up. World Central Kitchen called us 2 days before the storm and asked if we would be available. We committed to it. So the day after the storm, we started to prepare for them. We got the confirmation 2 days after that, yes, they're ready to go. So we jumped into action, staff came back to work, and I mean, the rest is history. We've just started every day, we roll out something new every day. We try to clean something, fix something. We've lost the kitchen, so we had to build a temporary kitchen. We had to use a prep kitchen that we had. But eventually we started dinner. We've been having our parties. So it's just a struggle, but it's a daily struggle. And for us, it's kind of fun.
How are you going to be building back Pier 1 in particular in terms of that resilience I speak about, in terms of the physical infrastructure here? Have you made any changes?
Yes, we're rebuilding our kitchen, we're building our office spaces.
Better than before? That's the idea?
All concrete.
All concrete, okay.
All concrete.
All right.
I don't want a carpenter. I don't want to see a carpenter. I don't want to see a sheet of zinc. I don't want to see anything that is nailed down, tied on. Everything must be. And I think that's...
Concrete and steel, right?
Wholly steel.
Wholly steel, all right, cool.
So I think that's a lesson that we need to learn and take home personally. While it is cheaper to build something out of board and zinc, and it will look nice and you will live in it, we must consider that these infrastructure, this building that you live in, need to be able to withstand a hurricane.
Talk to me a little bit about World Central Kitchen, because the logistics and the effort that they've put in there, how they have stimulated the economy. As a businessman, I'm sure you're looking at that and be almost relieved and grateful, of course, for what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I think it's a magic that happens when you're prepared to do something. They came to Montego Bay, they came to Jamaica on a whole. They are a response to a disaster. They were in, I forget where it was, they were in hurricane area a couple weeks before, and they were giving us the stories of it. What they do is magic, total magic. They come in with cash. They come in with cash to buy what's here and distribute it. It's a model that I've never seen before. It's a model to me that really works, because what it says is that any idle resource can be used, and that ripple effect is immense. We were able to pay staff, buy goods from suppliers that maybe would spoil, be in storerooms. Of course, we've lost a lot of our hotel rooms. We don't have the heads in beds that we normally do. And World Central Kitchen said, look, we're here, we need to feed people. That's paramount what the reason is. We need to feed people who have been disenfranchised, lost homes, don't have the ability to cook. But we're going to do it in a way that it benefits the business at large. So a couple restaurants in Mobe were able to start putting out food with their staff through their stock within days after the storm. And that's cash back in your pocket. They pay for it.
Yeah. Let's look at it from the standpoint of the Mobe Chamber of Commerce, right, and how the businesses have been affected. We look at Montego Bay and we take it for granted that, okay, it's tourism that touches almost every fiber in the city. Can you put into context exactly how businesses have been affected by the hurricane?
Well, it goes without say, the storm had a devastating effect on businesses here. Businesses were locked, flooded, roof gone, stock damaged. But there was a robust movement within the city to get the city back open, from JPS, from Water Commission, from the municipality. They opened a task force, a recovery task force led by John Biles. And the whole intention of it was to get commerce going again. JPS first mandate, in our first meeting with the chamber, they outlined what their mission was. It was to get the hospital powered, water flowing, that's Great River, pump station, Fairview downtown, hip strip, elegant corridor. What that meant for us, especially for the Chamber of Commerce, was we're taking commerce and business as a priority. While we fix rural communities, while we get people help, we are putting the most important thing first, which is the hospitals, getting people care, getting people back to work, getting businesses functioning to help people. Because if you have a business that has no water, no power, has been damaged, you really can't help anybody.
Yeah.
The banks can't open, you're dead, the city is dead. In short order, within 2 weeks, we started to see Mobe really blossom and things open. A lot of the hotels weren't able to close. They literally weren't able to close. They had guests in there, but they were running on generators, tanks. What that did for them was give them some normalcy. They were able to say, okay, we're open, guests are safe. Now how do we plan for the future? And that's the mindset that we heard from the government. That's the mindset that we got from the utilities. And it has panned out. Mobe is fully operational. Yes, we have some hotels that are closed, but we're open for business. We're open for the tourist season. Most restaurants and bars are open. The beaches are open. We have a massive MSC ship in today, the second for the week. I think so far it's been about 5 or 6 cruise ships that have docked here in Mobe. And it's a testimony to true leadership.
In terms of the corporation and how businesses have come hand in hand to kind of help with this situation, were you truly impressed by that in particular?
I was. It gave me the feeling that I didn't live in a third world country. It gave me the feeling that people do speak the language of continuity and structure and not defeated by a storm. That things started to interlock really quick. The municipality had an EOC committee that they put the chamber on. We were able to dedicate some bodies to that to get the information in and out to the business sector. That room was filled with utilities, municipalities, the JCF, the JDF, filled with all the movers and shakers.
The best minds, you think?
The best minds, best minds. Honestly, I can't speak to St. Elizabeth, I can't speak to Westmoreland.
Okay.
I can only speak to Montego Bay and Montego Bay City at large, St. James, and I can tell you, things moved rapidly. Things were happening. Roads were being cleared. I mean, I could not have opened my business downtown Montego Bay without that infrastructure coming back online. And to be, this is what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks after Category 5, to tell the world that Montego Bay is open for business, Negril is open for business, Ocherios is open for business, definitely is a feat. It's almost a miracle.
You touched on the cooperation between agencies and stuff like that, and usually Jamaica is credited for being so strong when you have to be resilient and when we're going against the tide. But then we kind of lapse and we almost go to a status quo kind of situation after the worst has passed, and the cooperation and the communication isn't quite there. As president, how do you want to keep that togetherness there to just build upon? Because I'm sure you have a dream. I'm sure the members have a dream as to how Montego Bay should look and how business should operate.
I think one of the biggest challenges I am personally seeing is fake news. I think while we are getting closer as communities based on technology, social media, we're also creating a lot of rifts and widening gaps based on misinformation.
What kind of misinformation?
Just how things are handled. For argument's sake, I'm not going to deep dive into the situation, but what happened with Buju, with his things on the wharf, I think got sensationalized and blown way out of proportion, right or wrong. It sent a ripple effect overseas.
You think so?
Yes, man. A lot of people that were sending aid to us was more concerned about the aid being stolen on the wharf than helping the people that deserved the help. It became the conversation. I think that got a little bit too much limelight. It got, people wanted more of that kind of story, a little drama, a little problem, the government not doing what they're supposed to do. And we lost focus of what needs to happen. I think there's also a pushback on entertainment that's coming from media again, that so social media, that, it's not timely to have parties and people shouldn't be celebrating and we shouldn't be partying. Again, it's grabbing on to small pieces of information and running with it. We need to have parties. We need to open. We need DJs to get back to work, artists to start making money, bars, liquor, hotels. We need cash to flow. And if we don't endorse and get the messages clear, we can get stagnated by fear and more don'ts than do's. And I think that's where Jamaica maybe fell flat at one point. People are wondering, should we send aid? Should we have a party? Should I go out and have a beer? Is it safe to go downtown? Why? Because no, there are criminals rampaging downtown. Big false story there. They're stealing all the things at the wharf. False story there. It's not right to have a party when people don't have life. Big false. You need to keep things flowing and moving. And anytime you have stagnation in the economy, anytime people hold the money close to their chest, that's when the real problem is.
It is time now for Through Their Eyes, where we turn to the eyewitnesses of Hurricane Melissa, the journalists who documented it, the community members who endured it, and those now driving the recovery effort. Their first-hand accounts reveal the story behind the headlines, taking us inside moments of fear, loss, determination, and resilience that statistics alone can never capture. This week we hear from Dr. Sheriff Imoru, Senior Medical Officer at the Black River Hospital.
We try to prepare for this hurricane. And as you know, places like hospitals and so forth, they have their disaster plans in place. Black River Hospital, as you may know, it has a bed capacity of over 150 beds, right? Which means that at any given point in time, we have over 150 patients on the ground. We had discharged as many as we could. We were down to about 74 patients. And what we actually did at that time was actually move the patients from the shoreline, from female ward 1, which is the ward that is closest to the sea, and move them up to male ward, further away from the sea, which we thought at the time would give us give the patients and the staff some protection. As Jamaicans, yes, you prepare and you prepare and you prepare, and we had everything in place. We had several days we had over a week of supplies, food supplies. Our water system would give us at least 3-4 days. We had enough fuel for about 2 weeks to run generator. So in terms of those things that we normally would put in place, those things were in place. Then the hurricane hit, and the reality actually hit us. It was something that we would never have expected. The sheer magnitude of what occurred. Despite having the patients here and despite the staff being here and you'd see zinc and everything flying all over the place and roofs and being torn down, buildings being torn down. The staff and everybody involved, everybody that was on the ground, because I can tell you, the staff that were slated to work or scheduled to work were actually here, which was one good thing. But remember, people are also human. People have families, people have children, they have loved ones. And the reality is that the Black River Hospital staff and team remained on the ground. All right, I can tell you that the few patients that had remained on that ward were the pediatric patients who were upstairs. And during the hurricane, the doctors, the nurses, the staff removed them during the hurricane, took them out through windows, right? And came down and got them over, got them to safety. So, I mean, pretty much, there's no one you don't want to single out anybody, it's a team. And all of them are heroes, in my book. All of them are heroes because they're stuck on the ground, they were here, they ensured that the patients were safe. And I can tell you, for all of those 74 or so patients that remained there, not one died as a result of the hurricane, not one. This I can tell you was a time where, look, persons were here at work, but their houses were being demolished or destroyed, I should say. Personally, I lost my roof. As a leader and a manager, you have to be on the ground. And regardless of what maybe the whole opinion of certain things, boy, you have to take care of your own and whatever. My patients, my staff are also my own. They're my family too, right? I said I've been here from 2008. I couldn't just jump ship, right? But I can tell you, probably it was an half an hour to maybe 45 minutes before the actual hurricane hit us, my daughter called me. My daughter was just 14 at the time, and she called me and said, "Dad, it's too windy out there. There's too much wind and so forth. You cannot come home." And I live 5 minutes from here. And when I heard her say that, it struck a chord in me, and I said, you know what? She's frightened. I have to go, right? And I told my crew that, look, I have to go home. And I actually drove home through the winds and everything. There were trees on the road. It was raining like crazy, but I had to find a way. So the reality is where I even drove, because there are several ways in which I can go home. One of the ways I drove, I said, all right, look, let me try this way. And there were light poles on the road already. And I had to turn back and go for another route. And I actually reached home. And the reality is I was actually glad that I reached home, because I don't think my wife and my children could have managed that without that additional support. Because at that time, within probably an half an hour, my roof went, right? I was right there, right? I have some big windows at home. One of them was crashed in. I was up there. My son, who's 22, he was there with me, and the window just burst open, and then that was it. The roof started lifting, everything started caving in, ceiling came down, the rain was pouring. My house was like Dunn's River. It was just flooding through. I can tell you, and I've always described this. My upstairs of the house was like, you decide, you put everything in a mixer, a blender, and you say, look, I put it on high speed. That is how it looked, and that's how it ended up being, right? You could not really recognize anything upstairs. And imagine that, and imagine other persons and the hundreds of persons in this community that happened to, and even the hospital. It was just horrific. I've always, from day one, I don't know if I was the one that started using this term, but I remember doing an interview with CNN, and the first thing I said, this was apocalyptic. Because, now people talk about, but it looks like it was a combination of a hurricane, a tornado, you name it. And the reality is, it was, because the buildings were shaking, everything was coming down. The rain was pouring like crazy. The reality is that if this had happened at night, God bless it happened in the day. Because if it had happened at night, what would have been the result? you know, because you wouldn't be seen, you wouldn't, you know, and everything was all over the place. And it was horrific. It was horrific. And as I said, if I was somebody that had enemies, I wouldn't want my enemy to go through this. You understand? It was that bad, you know, and I've been through several hurricanes. You know, I'm 55, so the reality is I've been through several of them, you know, and nothing compares to this. Nothing compares to this, right? When, you know, so it's horrific, horrific. I mean, if you drive through Black River, I mean, it's pretty much what we call a tarpaulin city now. I mean, tarpaulins on almost every house, and those are the houses that actually can support tarpaulin, because a lot of them are gone. Concrete structures gone, torn down, you know. It was terrible. It's terrible, terrible. And I can tell you, and I will say this, and I will say this on camera, off camera. Up to this point, I haven't cried. I've had to be so strong. Not that I don't feel it. I feel it, but I feel like it's not time for me to break down. Because the reality is that, look, we all talk about mental health, and it's a big issue now. And the reality is that we have to be really strong for each other, regardless of your damages, or if you didn't get any damages. We have to stick together. We need to talk. We need to just have regular huddle sessions. Just talk, because I can tell you, think about it. If prior to the hurricane, mental health and mental issues were on such a rise, can you imagine now what's going to happen? Many persons probably it hasn't struck them yet, the devastation and how to build back. Because the reality is there are people who just can't build back. Someone who loses a zinc of sheet versus somebody, zinc of sheet off of the roof, versus somebody that loses the entire roof. That person that lost the sheet of zinc may be in a worse situation than the person who actually lost the entire roof. And that's the reality. Some people have, some people don't. Just to see Melissa passing through and within a couple of hours tore down that dream. When I go home at night, that's the thing that I think about, because we worked hard to get Black River to the point where we can say, yes, we were recognized, we were doing the work, we were providing that service for the people, which for me is the greatest thing I could do, because I'm always here. And I have to get this done, I have to get that done. And I have a team behind me that supports such, you know, aspirations and so forth. So the reality is that we were getting there, you know, and just to see it just go down in a few hours of a Category 5 hurricane, I think for many persons that is one of the most hurtful things, you know, that could have happened. This place has to get up and running. This is the place I love. This is Black River Hospital. I said I've been here from 2008. You know, persons have actually said to me, Doc, you know, I leave. You know, I'll go somewhere else. You know, I'll go abroad now. So what? No, I'd never do that. I can tell you that categorically. If you hear that I leave Black River Hospital, it's not because of me. It must be that I was fired. I'm just saying that, look, if I leave this hospital, it wasn't on my own, not because I wanted to. I'll never leave this. I love this place.
And you can look out for the extended Through Their Eyes feature on our YouTube page in the coming days. As Jamaica continues the work of recovery, this season invites reflection. Christmas does not arrive only in moments of ease. It comes even in the aftermath of disaster, reminding us that hope is not seasonal and light is never cancelled by darkness. Across the country, rebuilding continues quietly and deliberately in communities, in businesses, and in the lives of people still finding their footing. A friend of mine, Alex Robinson, once said, "Life doesn't end when we pause." Hurricane Melissa forced a pause, but life did not end. What followed has been resolve, compassion, and the steady work of moving forward together. And this Christmas, that journey continues, carried by ordinary Jamaicans choosing faith, generosity, and hope. I'm Donald Oliver. Thank you for watching. Godspeed.